Hello and welcome to another episode of Wannabe Entrepreneur. I've been around entrepreneurs my whole life because my grandparents, both of them, are entrepreneurs. They had their own businesses, and same with my dad, actually. So, I've grew up hanging out as a kid in my grandfather's store or listening to my dad and his dad speaking about business during dinner time, sometimes a little bit too much. But yeah, so I've always kind of been around this entrepreneurship spirit, and I've discussed a lot with my dad things about his business. I've heard a lot about how the good things of having a business, the bad things about having a business. And yeah, I guess it's kind of natural that I'm also attracted to this lifestyle. And my dad, he has a business, a B2B business, that he sells basically home deco products to other companies, to other stores. And it's funny that, when he speaks about it, he still does everything in the very much old fashioned way. So he actually travels to his clients and he makes the sale in their store. He shows them their inventory and collects whatever products they want to buy in a piece of paper. And sometimes when they ask to get a look at the inventory, he just sends a WhatsApp message with his full inventory to the clients. And then the clients write down what they want to buy. And of course, that this is not a 21st century business, right? So he's still kind of in this old-fashioned way, and a lot of clients already ask them for a store, a place where they can check the inventory and buy without having to send everything written down to him. And having a developer son, he asked me if I could help out doing a store for him. And first of all, I thought, yeah, finally he's actually reaching out to me to something that is actually in my area, instead of asking me to fix the printer or something. But I also realized that this would take a lot of my time because I've never done an online store before, and it actually requires to be good enough so that at least the backend needs to be good enough so that he can administrate it without having to ask me for help every time. So I kind of postponed it for a while, and I was feeling bad that I couldn't do this for him because he kept on asking. And now, as an entrepreneur, I can set up my own schedule. So I said, right, it's the time to do this for my dad. And yeah, I started doing this web store. And I started first by researching what tools are available that I can use. So I asked around to some of my freelancing developers, and they told me that I should have a look into WooCart, PressShop, and OpenCart. And first of all, of course, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Jack, what about Shopify? I mean, everyone is speaking about it. Yeah, I also thought about Shopify, and I also have a look on it. So let's start with that, actually. Let's start with Shopify. Shopify, it's an amazing tool because you don't need to be a developer to set up your own store. It's very easy to use. But it's not free, of course. So you will have to pay 15 euros, at least here in Europe, per month for, let's say, small to medium store. And of course, that I guess most of every business will make more than 15 euros a month. But if you're a small business or just starting, it might just be that you don't want to spend 15 euros per month, right? Especially if it's possible for you to pay less. So that I considered that, and I also thought that maybe these other options that my friend recommended me could be a little bit more customizable for someone that actually knows, HTML and CSS. So I had a look at WooCart, and I immediately discarded it. And you ask me why, and I tell you one word: WordPress. Well, one word: WordPress. Yeah, I promised to myself that I would never use WordPress ever again. And I know I have so many headaches in the past, by just changing some configuration and suddenly losing the right to access the administration, or deleting everything. It's such a shitty tool for me. So I just decided, okay, I'm not using WordPress. So I discarded WooCart right from the start. So Then of course, I had OpenCart, Shopify, and PressShop. Another thing that is not very good about Shopify is the fact that, at least what I read about it, is that if you don't use the Shopify payments, they will actually take a percentage of the order of the purchase, which is something that I also don't want. I want to have the full amount. And so I kind of discarded it because I noticed that this OpenCart and PressShop, they are both open source. So the software is actually free. I can just download it and host it myself for free, or I can find a hosting provider, and that's still cheaper than 15 euros per month. So I discarded Shopify, and then I just had to pick between OpenCart and PressShop. They are basically very much the same. There will be a link in the description with an excellent blog post about it that's comparing both of them. In the end, I ended up going with PressShop because it seemed that it was a little bit more intuitive for my dad to use, but I could have gone either way, to be honest. With the PressShop chosen, I just had to then pick hosting, and I ended up choosing Hostinger, which it's super nice. You can just set up the store with one or two clicks, so they already have an integration with the PressShop, so you just have to go there and say you want to install it. Everything was super done, very smooth, and it costed me about 4 euros per month. So I picked for two, so I had to pay actually upfront for 2 years. You can also pick for only 1 year, or I think a couple of months, but of course it gets more expensive. So I knew that he was going to use it at least for the next 2 years, so I paid it upfront, and it ended up being like 4 euros or 3 euros per month, which is super good. Plus I also bought the domain of the store, and that's the domain included with the store. It's much cheaper than Shopify, maybe 3 times cheaper. So that was great. The setup is nice, and I can tell you that one thing that I wasn't expecting was the fact that there were not that many free themes. So you can just install a theme, pre-designed themes that you can just install. But there's one that comes by default, which is free, but all the others were actually paid, and it's between 30 to actually 400 euros, something an absurd range. And I didn't want to pay for that, so that got me a little bit upset, because maybe OpenCart has more free themes. But then I realized, okay, I can just use the default one for free. It's fine. The store doesn't need to be super beautiful because it's a B2B, so the clients are already there. So I mean, it's definitely good enough. And the admin tools, it's amazing. My father already used it to add a couple of products, and it worked without me having to tell him how to do it. So it's super intuitive, and it's very flexible too. So each product can have multiple images, can be connected to multiple categories. It has an SEM optimization tool that you can just write a bunch of keywords and so on. And you can also have, or rather, one thing that my father asked me was to have the possibility to show the products to visitors, but only show the prices to clients. And the reason is because he doesn't want to show the prices to public, because this is a B2B. So I thought, okay, maybe this will be a bit tricky, but no, it's super easy. You can actually have different groups. And there's one group that says clients, another one that says visitors, and you can just say hide the prices to visitors. So now what he can do is he can just ask the client to create an account, or he can create an account himself for the client, and they will have access to the prices. Plus, he can also define that certain clients have certain discount prices. Another thing that is super cool as well is that you can define that if the client buys, let's say, more than 10 pieces of a certain product, then it has a discount of 1% or 2%. So that's super nice. One thing that got me a bit nervous was the fact that everything was in English, but no, there was no worries because I was able to actually translate to Portuguese. Most of the things were already translated, even the backend is in Portuguese, and things that were not translated, I can translate them myself. It's super easy. And also the documentation so far has been super cool. Every time I have a doubt or a question, I just Google it or go to YouTube and find a tutorial, and it has been very simple. So it hasn't taken me more than 20 minutes to figure out something. So I'm super happy about it. Also, it's responsive, It's working fine. So I'm still finishing. He's still adding a couple of products. I still have to test the payments. So apparently you can connect with multiple sources of payments. You can do like wire transfer, payment by check, payment by cash. You can connect it with Stripe or PayPal. So I still have to test it, see if it works. But yeah, so far I think it will. And also I can tell you that the store like has all those functionalities that you're looking for in a store. You have the cartwheel, the shopping list. You can check when actually do the stock, check if there are available products or not. And that's something that's great, because so far he always has to check if he has enough stock or not for each product. But now everything is automated, right? So he can just say I have 10 of this, and if people buy 5, he knows that now he only has 5 remaining, and he can actually get an email if he's running low in a certain product. So that's amazing. So really, I think he's very happy to be in the 21st century, and I'm super excited to see how this will impact his business, if the clients will accept it or not. So I'll definitely keep you up to date with how this web store impacts his business. So in the next episodes, I guess a month or two, we'll know. And I will also let you know once the store is ready, so you can also check it out. And I'll let you know if everything works fine with the payments, and if in the end my dad is happy with the final result. So yeah, PressShop for the win. The link of all the tools I've tested will be in the description. I'll create actually a little post, a blog post, just for supporters and members of this podcast. You know, I need to make a living, but yeah. So you can just also support this podcast with whatever money you want, and you gain access to these tools and not these tools, I guess, these blog posts and all other premium content that I share with you. And of course, if you become a member, you can it's €4 per month, and you will be invited to join the Slack channel that includes all the other Wannabe Entrepreneur members and a bunch of people that I've already interviewed here in the podcast. We are just hanging out there, having fun, speaking about our projects, startups, and so on. So yeah, just to go ahead and do it. And the link will be in the description of this episode, like always. And this was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. I hope you liked it and found it useful. See you tomorrow.